Hi, it's Manic44 here, and today I would like to welcome you at the review of the assasin Ninja 23 replica. Replica for the review was provided by Gunfire. Gas-powered pistols work well as sidearms, whether as backup when we run out of ammunition in the rifle or as a replica for fighting in buildings when our main replica shoots beyond the safe limit. But they have one feature which in most cases is their biggest advantage, but in some cases can also be their biggest disadvantage. And that is the blowback system. Well, as I said, in most cases this is an advantage because it adds realism and simply makes it fun to shoot the replica. In some cases where we want to be quietly eliminate the target so our position is not betrayed, the system works against us. Playing as sniper, it may happen that the enemy will come too close to us for a rifle shot, and in order to not betray our position, a silent gun may be the best solution. For this reason, among airsoft snipers for years as a sidearm, replica reigns the proven MK23 from Tokyo Marui or its clones such as the STTI ST23 seen here. I do not have MK23, but in case of this design, the problem is, in order for the gun to serve its purpose, it needs to be upgraded. As much as I like to mess around with replicas, I know that some people just want to take the replica out of the box and go play with it. Which is why improved MK23 replicas have already started to appear on the market, in the example of the Novice SSX23 or the assasin Ninja 23 reviewed today. In this model, assasin decided to address the most problematic elements in the replica, that are the entire barrel assembly with the hop-up backing and the adjustment, as well as upgrading the slide design with visual and functional elements. In today's review, as always, we'll see what the replica has to offer, we'll see how it's built and what performance it has. But as standard, let's start with a small unboxing. The replica comes to us in a navy blue box, on the side of which we can find some information about the replica, and inside we will find general use manual, and in an extra bag a pistol with a magazine inside. Let's take a closer look at it. The gun is quite large and measures about 245 mm and weighs almost 900 grams with the magazine. It is made of aluminium, zinc aluminum alloy, polymer and steel. The slide of the replica is made of aluminium after CNC processing. Most of the metal parts are made of zinc aluminum alloy, from manipulators through to the outer barrel and internal element. The frame of the replica and the hop-up chamber are made of polymer. The green gas magazine is made of metal. The screws, pins and springs are made of steel. Going from the front of the replica, the first thing we'll find is a 16 mm clockwise thread on which we can mount dedicated silencers for the MK23 based replicas like ST23 or SSX23. Further, we come across an aluminum slide made in CNC technology. In the front part, on the sides and on the top, it has large cutouts which makes it lighter and through which the outer barrel is visible. There are also serrations as in the classic MK23. At the top, behind the shell ejector window, there is also place for mounting a armor red dot sight. However, if we do not mount it, fiber optic aiming devices will help us in aiming. On the back we'll find serrations as in the classic MK23. They are not needed because the replica is non-blowback, but it's still a nice detail. On the front of the polymer frame we find a dedicated rail for the LAM module. On the trigger guard there is a thread for screwing it. The trigger guard itself is large, so you can easily operate the replica with gloves. Above the trigger there is metal trigger safety. Just slide it up to lock the trigger. It is connected to the pin that holds the slide on the frame, which I will show later. The second safety that the replica has is located at the back of the frame, and it's the hammer lock. When the hammer is cocked, it can be locked by moving the lock to the upper position. Interestingly, the lever is double-sided. The magazine release is also ambidextrous. Pressing it down slightly makes the magazine fall out of the replica by itself, which you also have to watch out for in the case of each MK23 replica, because losing a magazine it's very easy. The green gas magazine itself, with capacity of 24 BBs, is made of metal. It has a widening in the lower part, thanks to which after pulling the spring it can be quite easily loaded with BBs. Gas is loaded as standard from the bottom. The magazine is in the Tokyo Marui standard, so magazines from other manufacturers also fit the replica and work properly. When it comes to compatibility, in general the replica works with all parts from the TM standard. For the test I swapped the entire slide from the STTI ST23, which is a TM clone, and the replica works without any problems. However, unlike other MK23 clones and the original itself, Ascent decided to redesign the hop-up system, and more precisely its adjustment, which does not require removing the slide or looking for a hex key. In the shell ejector window we have a knob to adjust the hop-up. Turning it up increases the power, and turning it down reduces it, quickly, conveniently and precisely. The replica has a double action system, which means that by pressing the trigger, the hammer is cocked first and can be left like this, and by pressing the trigger further, we will release it and shoot. Additionally, the hammer itself can be pre-cocked, which shortens the length of the trigger movement and reduces the force required to fire the shot. When the hammer is in the rest position, we must be careful not to hit it, because it may cause the loss of some gas. The replica itself does not have blowback, but the slide can be slightly pulled back, thanks to which we can check if the BB is in the chamber and see how the replica works. When we press the trigger, the hammer is cocked, but also the nozzle is moved forward. It takes the BB from the magazine and loads it into the chamber, then seals the connection, and when the hammer hits, a dose of gas is released and shot is fired. The replica, due to not having a blowback, not only uses less gas, but is also much quieter, which is why the MK23 and replicas based on it, such as the Ninja 23, in combination with a silencer, are so popular among snipers who want to silently eliminate targets that are too close. Let's compare blowback pistol like Psy Blue with the Ninja 23. Psy Blue. Ninja 23. I conducted the test in a room, so you can also hear a slight echo, but as you can hear, the difference is significant, and even deeper when we screw a silencer with buffles like my modified ST23 silencer to the replica. On the internet, of course, you can find a lot of modifications that make the replica even quieter. I added a link to the page with modifications to the MK23 replicas in the description of the video. When it comes to the operation of the replica itself, there are few things worth mentioning. First of all, the Ascent eliminated the problem of sticky trigger, which is a very common, for example, in the ST23 from STTI, and which at first haunted me when I used the replica. Fortunately, it does not occur here. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to trigger it during the test, but if you remember, it happened during the game with ST23. With the magazine from the set, shooting is quite difficult. We came across a strong wall that needs to be broken through. If we pull the hammer earlier, the problem does not occur, but there is another solution. Just change the lips of the magazine to other. I have lips from Northridge in my mags from ST23, and this problem does not occur with them. When it comes to carrying the replica, I personally used a 3D printed holster dedicated to MK23 replicas, and as you can see, without any surprises, the Ninja also fits in, so I bet that other holsters dedicated to this platform will also fit without problems. It's time to see how the replica is disassembled and what parts can be found inside. Then I pull the slide back until the notch on it aligns with the trigger safety. Now on the other side I'm knocking out the trigger safety pin. To remove the slide, it's enough to move it forward and then lift the front and the slide will come off the frame. We see aluminum zinc alloy internal elements. I will not disassemble the frame because I do not see so much sense in it. It's the same as in the ST23. Let's move on to the part where the Ascent has focused its attention, which is the slide. To pull out the barrel with the chamber, push it forward, tilt it and pull it back. And the nozzle is enough to grip and pull it up. It's of course in the TM standard. It is just as easy to install it inside. Time for the barrel with the chamber. I start by knocking out the pin in the metal outer barrel. Now I can pull it forward. The polymer chamber of the Ascent construction is secured with 2 screws. After unscrewing them, I can separate the hulls of the chamber. The chamber has an interesting arm with a built-in flat pressing element similar to the one in Omega Knob from Maple Leaf. The arm itself can be safely called TDC, because it presses the backing vertically from the above, thanks to which the shots, regardless of pressure level, should fly straight. The adjustment knob is polymer and has an O-ring that increases the resistance of rotation and prevents losing adjustments of the setting. The replica has a precise maple leaf barrel with a length of 144 mm and a diameter of 6.04 mm. Paired with its maple leaf Autobot backing with a hardness of 60, the backing has a special shape of the contact patch, which according to Maple Leaf has positive effect on the range of the replica and accuracy. Additionally, the backing has a metal ring whose task is to increase the seal in connection with the nozzle. After assembling the slide, it remains to put it in the frame. First slide the bag into the guides, then the slide should click into place. All that remains is to put the trigger safety bag in place after previously pulling the slide, and we can now proceed to the chroning and shooting test. I chroned the replica on 0.36 gram Spetsna Arms Edge BBs with hop-up set, and I use WE2X green gas. The replica in this setting generates an average of 0.72 joules or 208 FPS, and the spread was about 10 FPS or 0.07 joules. According to the manufacturer, the replica is supposed to generate about 300 FPS or 0.84 joules on 0.20 gram BBs. Converted to 0.36 gram, 0.72 joules is about 280 FPS, so a bit less. But let's see how the replica does when shooting. Shooting tests were also carried on 0.36 gram Spetsna Arms Edge BBs, and on that day a variable wind was blowing. It is true that the manufacturer on the packages boasts great accuracy at 25 meters with 0.20 gram BBs, but let's be honest, we should expect more from the parts that are mounted in it. So, from 30 meters, hitting a target with a diameter of 60 centimeters, which is slightly larger than a human torso, is not the slightest problem, and I shot without support. From 40 meters the situation looks similar, but you can see that some BBs are overhopped a bit and fly over the target. From 50 meters a hit is still possible, and it's often a hit after hit, and yet you can see from the vegetation it was windy at times. At this distance there are also BBs overhopped over the target. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the 60 meter test because for some reason the scope stopped recording even through the preview on the phone shot that it's still recording. I can only tell you that the BBs reached this distance, and I even managed to hit the target a few times, so you could theoretically call 60 meters the maximum range, but 50 meters will be the maximum effective range. I don't know what causes the uneven hopping of some BBs, maybe the backing needs to break in. Before the shooting test I only fired one magazine at part of the test, so its mileage was very small. So, wrapping up. Ascend Ninja 23 is the famous MK23 platform on steroids. All-aluminum slide with a fiber optic sight looks interesting, and it's additionally prepared for mounting a small red dot sight, which nowadays should be a standard in every pistol. The inconvenient hop-up adjustment system has been replaced with a convenient and precise knob, and proven parts from Maple Leaf are responsible for accuracy and range. Additionally, the replica does not have the problem with the sticky trigger as in the ST23. And thanks to full compatibility with parts from other replicas in the TM standard, we have access to many modifications that are available for this platform. The replica is silent as standard, and after mounting the silencer it becomes even quieter thanks to the lack of blowback. The only thing that I don't like is the heavy trigger when using magazine with standard lips, and the fact that some BBs are unevenly spinned, but I have the impression that it may pass over the time when the hop-up buckings wears a bit down. It would be also nice if the replica generated a little closer to 1 joule, or even slightly more, which would slightly increase its range and the power to penetrate through vegetation. My ST23 after a slight tuning is blowing about 1 joule, so it seems to me that it should be possible here as well. The Ascent Ninja 23 is a replica primarily for someone who needs a quiet replica with good range straight out of the box, and with the potential for further modifications to make it even quieter, with the exception of course of installing a suppressor, which in the case of this replica will actually suppress the shot. The fact that the replica doesn't have a blowback system makes it less realistic but also more reliable. Less moving parts mean less chance of failure, and the lack of blowback also means less gas consumption, and potentially the ability to play at lower temperatures than replicas with blowback. Price-wise, with my discount code, the replica compares similarly to the Novridge SSX23 or MK23 from Tokyo Marui. Of course, it's much cheaper to buy a ST23 STTI and do the upgrades yourself, but I know from my own experience that this can be a tough road. For someone looking for a ready-made solution, the Ninja 23 can be a much more attractive. In my case, the replica will replace my STTI ST23. That will be all for today. Let me know what you think of the Ninja 23. And for now, thanks for watching and see you next time.